For over 5,000 years, a civilization rose along the Nile, building monuments so precise, so massive, that modern engineers still cannot explain them. The pyramids weren't just tombs. They were gateways, codes, and messages from the past, hiding secrets that could change everything we know about history. Tonight, we uncover the mysteries Egypt tried to bury forever. Beyond the grandeur of the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the Giza Plateau and surrounding regions are dotted with other pyramids and mortuary complexes that each tell their own story of ambition, devotion, and mystery. From the slightly smaller but equally fascinating Pyramid of Khafre, with its enigmatic smooth capstone that once gleamed in the sun, and the adjacent Sphinx whose eyes seem to follow every visitor, to the more modest Pyramid of Menkaure, standing as a testament to the evolution of pyramid building techniques and the changing priorities of pharaohs who sought to leave their mark while navigating political, spiritual, and logistical challenges. Yet beyond these well-known monuments lies a vast network of lesser-studied pyramids, many hidden or partially buried under sand and rubble, built for queens, nobles, and powerful officials, each constructed with a unique combination of precision, symbolism, and sacred geometry, demonstrating that the culture of monumental architecture extended far beyond the kings themselves, encompassing a society deeply invested in death, afterlife, and the preservation of social hierarchy, religious rites, and cosmic order. The interiors of these pyramids often hold chambers, passageways, and hidden rooms whose functions and contents continue to baffle modern archaeologists. Some chambers appear deliberately concealed, possibly to protect the deceased and their treasures from tomb robbers, while others align with astronomical phenomena, suggesting that the Egyptians were not only architects and engineers but also astronomers and mathematicians capable of integrating complex celestial calculations into stone. Hieroglyphic inscriptions, symbolic reliefs, and painted murals inside these structures narrate elaborate tales of gods, goddesses, and the pharaohs' journeys through the underworld, invoking deities such as Osiris, Anubis, and Ra, and describing rituals intended to guide the soul through trials and toward eternal life, while the inclusion of amulets, food, and furniture indicates a belief in a continuation of earthly pleasures beyond death. Venturing further into Egypt, we discover the Step Pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, an earlier attempt at monumental tomb construction that set the stage for the later smooth-sided pyramids, revealing an era of experimentation, innovation, and growing understanding of engineering principles, while the associated mortuary complexes illustrate how the Egyptians meticulously integrated religious practice, ceremonial spaces, and administrative functions into a single sacred area, blending utility, devotion, and spectacle. Meanwhile, pyramids at Dashur, including the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid, reveal even more about the trial and error approach that led to perfection in later constructions, with unique angles, internal layouts, and construction methods, providing insight into the Egyptians' ability to adapt, learn, and innovate over decades, driven by both spiritual necessity and political ambition. Beyond the stones and chambers, Egypt's mythology breathes life into these structures. The pharaohs were considered divine living embodiments of gods on earth, whose deaths were not endings but transitions into cosmic roles, guardianship over the land and participation in the eternal cycles of the sun and Nile, with each pyramid acting as a monument to this cosmic journey, a three-dimensional map connecting Earth, sky, and the underworld. Even smaller pyramids, often overlooked, contain secrets of their own. Hidden shafts aligned with stars, chambers that have remained sealed for thousands of years, and inscriptions that hint at knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and spiritual philosophy that rivals modern understanding. This layered complexity reflects a civilization obsessed with harmony, order, and immortality, blending science, spirituality, art, and power into a single monumental statement, while simultaneously leaving the modern observer with an overwhelming sense of awe and mystery. Every stone quarried, every chamber carved, and every hieroglyph painted demonstrates an intimate knowledge of engineering, physics, and symbolism. Yet so much remains unknown, from the labor systems that moved and placed massive blocks with staggering precision, to the astronomical purposes encoded in the pyramid layouts, to the lost rituals that were once performed within these sacred spaces. In a land where every sunrise and flood of the Nile was tied to the divine, where the desert sands conceal thousands of years of human achievement, ambition, and devotion, Egypt's pyramids, tombs, And temples stand not only as monuments to kings and queens, but also as reflections of a society that sought to understand the universe, connect with the gods, and achieve a form of immortality that transcends time, leaving behind a legacy that continues to challenge our knowledge, inspire wonder, and remind us that some secrets of the past may never be fully uncovered, no matter how advanced our tools, knowledge, or imagination may become, whispering across millennia to anyone willing to listen to them. Echoes of a civilization whose influence and mystery remain unmatched. As the Nile River flowed faithfully through the heart of Egypt, its annual floods brought life sustenance and stability to a civilization that would come to define ingenuity and endurance for millennia, shaping not only the land but also the rhythms of Egyptian society, economy, and spirituality in ways that intertwined the mundane with the divine. The river was more than a source of water. It was a lifeline, a highway, a spiritual axis connecting the people to the gods, particularly Hapi, the deity of fertility and the annual inundation, whose favor was believed to ensure bountiful harvests and the prosperity of the kingdom. The fertile silt deposited by the floods allowed for agriculture to thrive, giving rise to cities trade, and a population capable of sustaining monumental projects, such as the pyramids, temples, and intricate irrigation systems that demonstrated a mastery of both natural observation and engineering. The Nile's banks were lined with settlements and sacred sites where daily life, religious observance, and political administration converged in a complex tapestry that allowed pharaohs to govern an empire that stretched far beyond the river's immediate banks. Farmers, artisans, priests, scribes, and laborers all played roles in maintaining this delicate balance, each contributing to the construction of monuments, the performance of rituals, and the recording of history in hieroglyphs, papyri, and inscriptions etched into stone. Within the pyramids themselves, the pharaoh's eternal journey was meticulously planned. Corridors, chambers, and passageways were designed not merely for physical interment but as symbolic representations of the soul's journey through the underworld, encountering trials and divine judgment while ascending to join the celestial order. The alignment of shafts and chambers to specific stars, the careful placement of hieroglyphics and sacred symbols, and the incorporation of astronomical and calendrical knowledge into architectural design demonstrate that the Egyptians possessed a profound understanding of both the heavens and the metaphysical, integrating cosmic principles into human-made structures to ensure harmony between earth and the divine. Meanwhile, smaller pyramids, mortuary temples, and satellite tombs reveal layers of social hierarchy and religious devotion, reflecting the importance of not only kings and queens but also high-ranking officials, priests, and nobles whose afterlife was carefully orchestrated through elaborate burial practices, offerings, and magical spells designed to preserve their essence for eternity. These structures, while less monumental than the pyramids of Giza, are equally revealing of the Egyptians' capacity for planning, engineering, and symbolism, with each chamber, stairway, and relief serving a dual purpose, practical in function yet profound and spiritual, meaning a testament to a civilization where art, science, and religion were inseparable. The artisans who carved intricate reliefs, painted vivid murals, and crafted statues of gods, pharaohs, and mythical creatures were not merely craftsmen but conveyors of cosmic knowledge and divine authority, their works encoding stories of creation, morality, and the eternal struggle between order and chaos, as represented by Matet, the goddess of truth and harmony, and her eternal battle against Isfet, the embodiment of chaos. Every temple, tomb, and pyramid tells a story, yet these narratives are layered, complex, and often incomplete, leaving modern scholars to piece together fragments, interpret symbolism, and speculate about practices that remain elusive and mysterious. Beyond the monumental architecture, the Egyptians' mastery extended into medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and logistics, allowing them to feed millions, construct monumental edifices, and administer a vast territory with remarkable efficiency. Their knowledge of anatomy recorded in medical papyri shows procedures and treatments that would not be surpassed for centuries, while their astronomical observations informed calendars, agricultural planning, and religious festivals, all of which were intertwined with the Nile's cycles and the movement of celestial bodies. Even daily life was infused with ritual and symbolism. Clothing, jewelry, household objects, and artistic motifs all reflected status, religious belief, and cosmic order, connecting the mundane with the metaphysical in ways that made everyday existence part of a grand eternal design. Yet despite the remarkable preservation of monuments, tombs, and artifacts, Egypt guards countless secrets, Hidden chambers, undiscovered pyramids, and lost texts continue to elude explorers. While erosion, looting, and the passage of millennia have obscured much of the knowledge that once guided this civilization, the very act of discovery becomes an adventure into a layered past, where each object, inscription, and ruin whispers stories of ambition, devotion, fear, and triumph, but never reveals all its truths. Egypt's mythology, intertwined with history, provides insight into the worldview of a people who sought to master life and death, to negotiate their place in the cosmos, and to leave behind monuments capable of transcending time itself, reminding us that the boundaries between human achievement, divine inspiration, and mystery were fluid, permeable, and intertwined. From the grandeur of the Giza plateau to the quiet sanctity of tombs hidden beneath desert sands, the legacy of Egypt is a continuous dialogue between the visible and the invisible, the known and the unknowable. A civilization whose knowledge, ambition, and artistry continue to challenge modern understanding and ignite wonder. In contemplating these ancient wonders, one realizes that the pyramids are not merely tombs of kings or monuments of stone, but symbols of humanity's desire to connect with something larger than itself, to bridge the gap between mortality and eternity, and to encode within the desert sands a story that refuses to be silenced, echoing across millennia to anyone patient enough to listen to the whispers of history, the lessons of the Nile, and the eternal mysteries that even time itself has not fully revealed.